sweet friends. So I had mentioned a while back that I had this brilliant idea for my squash bed, that I was moving it to the area that gets super flooded every time it rains, and we would build it like way up with chicken bedding and compost, and we did, and it's high up. And then I realized it's not getting sun. It's not getting full sun. It gets a good solid 4 hours of bright sunshine, and then it's kind of dappled throughout the rest of the day. So it would be a stretch to say it gets 6 hours of full sun. So I started to think about what I could put back here. Now the wonderful thing is this soil is really soft. This is not at all like the kind of harder soil that we have, that we're working on in the rest of the garden, because we basically built this up so high. So I'm thinking I can treat this like a raised bed, and I can put beets and carrots in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put carrot seeds down today. I've had horrible germination on carrots. I think we're only gonna have a handful from the eggplant row. That was my brilliant carrot idea, didn't work. I tried twice, just didn't work. So I'm gonna get these down today. The soil is super wet from like 2 days of huge storms and rain. And then just kind of keep my eye on it, make sure it stays moist, and see if I can get the carrots to work. It's June 10th, I think, today. So I feel like I'm still totally fine. We don't get a predicted first frost until like mid-October, and last year it didn't happen until well into November. So hopefully this will work. But one really good thing that happened, and I will show you, is that Dave and I decided that we would just concentrate on building up the rows and the walkways because of the flooding that we get. And because it's been so dry, we had no idea that it was actually working. And then 2 days of like torrential rains. We came out and the walkways were completely fine. You wouldn't even known other than they were wet. And normally they're filled with like this much rain when it happens, but now the walkways are actually this deep, and then the rows are just a little bit above that, and we will just continue this process year after year, and eventually what's in those walkways will be that wood chip that will break down into that incredible soil that we will then dig out, put on top of the rows, and then add more wood chip to the walkways. And it should just be a cycle that happens like that over and over. So let me show you the walkways. All right, the light's kind of funky right now. So basically this is after 2 days of huge rains, and it just looks incredible. It's so nice when something that you plan really works, but it's also fine if it doesn't work. So right now I've got things like my cabbage is bolting, so I'm just getting it out of there and salvaging whatever leaves I can for my kimchi. The squash didn't work, so I moved it and I'm starting new beds, and then I get to use this for carrots. So it's a learning process. Our broad beans have not been really moving along at all. Dave sprayed them with neem oil and peppermint oil, so we're trying that out to see if we can get these aphids to get off of them so we can actually have a harvest of broad beans. We try to be as hands-off as possible. We did decide to step in because there were pretty much no ladybugs showing up whatsoever. And while the aphids, what was wonderful is that it was keeping the aphids off other vegetables that we didn't want them on. So it's like acting like a little trap. It would be nice in the future if I could figure out how to get my nasturtiums growing faster and bigger so that they could be the aphid trap rather than the main crop foods. I'm gonna broadcast sow these because when I tried to drop them individually, the germination was so terrible, and I feel like I need more seeds to have more of a chance. I'm willing to come thin them, but I'm also willing to just let them grow as they want to grow and have some small carrots, some larger carrots. That is totally fine with me. So I have Yellowstone carrot, I have St. Valerie, I have Danvers 126 half long, and I have Chantenay. So I'm just gonna throw down a combination of all of these because sometimes one seed just takes better than another, and I figure I'll do it in 4 quadrants. So I'll just kind of mark it loosely by 4 and then see what comes up. If they don't get a germination, then I'm gonna go ahead, I have beets started in modules, and I'll go ahead and just add beets in here as backup. Carrot seeds are so tiny. They're itsy bitsy. And I'm gonna plant heavily. Now, I'd much prefer not to walk on this soil. I just don't actually know how to do this any other way. So, okay, so here's the former squash bed turned carrots. Now, I know this seems like, well, why would I waste a cattle panel? But it's not going to be wasted. So these squash at the end will grow up and over in this direction. These squash that I have here will grow up and over this direction. So these squash will completely fill this first cattle panel, and then these other squash will completely fill the other 2. What I'll do is I'll just allow this one to trail over a bit, and then I'll start asking it to climb up. So we'll see how that goes. I also could add some more on the bottom over here. So I may just add, if I have any more started, or I could just throw in a couple seeds. So you can always just fill spaces in as needed. Or a cucumber. I could actually throw a cucumber over here. That might be a really smart idea too. So parsnips like really good loose soil. And so I have traditionally done them in a garden bed. This year, because I've already had one crop in this area, the roots have loosened the soil so much that I feel really confident that I can get these to grow. So let me show you. If I take my hand, look, I can just kind of do this for quite a bit. And I went through and I took out all the weeds because I will not be able to weed this for a while. Germination can take quite a while, so I know that I will be getting weeds while I wait. So I want to make it as weed-free as possible to start. So I'm just going to take this section where the Chigemicide was, which was very successful, under the arch trellis, and plant these guys. See, these are so different from carrots. They are really big seeds. You put them in about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch deep, and they want about a 6-inch spacing. So I think I can do 3 rows in this little area. So I've put in 3 rows. I've got one here, and one here, and they go all the way down. And I will just take my parsnips and we will take a few seeds like this and then just drop. Where you get a couple more, you're just going to be thinning these out. I would so much rather always have the possibility of better germination and having to thin than not having germination and having to start all over. And I'll tell you why. Because this is like a 20-day germination. I've already done this once. Didn't work. I don't want to have to start over. I'm already cutting it close because parsnips need some time. they need to bake all season long. All right, so that's that first row. I'm just gonna keep picking out this grass because I really want to avoid as many weeds as possible. So it's not perfect, you know, it is what it is. They're really pretty seeds, aren't they? And then very simply just coming in and covering them up. If a couple stick out, just kind of adding a little dirt on top. And then I'm just gonna press down kind of lightly, make sure everything's staying where it needs to stay. And then I will wait 20 long days to see if this works, and if it doesn't, I'll have something else ready to go in its place. All right, so I will end this video inside. It's been a busy day since I did that earlier recording. I'm relaxing for the night. We've had dinner, we've been strawberry picking. It's been busy. So we planted a rose, we planted a delphinium, we did some weeding, we had a delicious taco salad for dinner. It was so good. That's one way to use up all your lettuce if you're like me and drowning in lettuce. Taco salad. And so I made more of that ranch dressing, which I thought this was gonna last me for a long time, but if we're eating it like every other day, it's gonna go fast. We won't eat it every other day. It's a lot of mayonnaise, but we will. I mixed it with sour cream for the taco salad, and that was really good, really good. So I have to sit down and process about 26 pounds of strawberries. That is going to be some work. I'm listening to an audiobook as I do it because that'll get me through. So I just wanted to wrap up this video, say thank you for hanging out. If you're new here, I'd love to have you subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, if you could give it a thumbs up. And my favorite thing is when you leave a comment, say hi, tell me who you are and what's going on in your part of the world. This is a conversation. I can't wait to hear from you. Appreciate you. Bye.